The following episode might contain content that you might not be comfortable listening to. This might range from swearing to references to self-harm and substance abuse. Please proceed with caution and don't hesitate to reach out for help if you need it. How often do you find yourself remembering what the past was like? Who you were, what happened? How often do you look back in comparison to how often you try to look forward? Hello, my name is Hazy, Who Killed Hazy, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Only Rain Days podcast. Just want to start this out with I don't know if this is the usual because I honestly cannot remember a lot of how I start this off, but I want to start this off with huge apologies to my friend who edits this, who helps me with the auto engineering, because this episode is getting recorded 22 hours before it's supposed to come out, something like that. So they're gonna get a nice quote unquote nice DM from me, hoping, begging, pleading that they have the time to help me with this so I can get everything all sorted out to get it out on time. It'll be out on time anyway, but their assistance is more than a blessing, and I pray I do enough to really make that known. But moving on from the fact that I will perpetually have an issue with managing my time well, apparently, I kind of want to focus back onto, what the hell I was talking about in the first place, which is kind of focusing on the past for a second here, because recently I've been doing that a lot, to be honest. A lot more time has been devoted to, I guess, remembering who I was. And I think remembering is the right word, because I've known for a while that I've been repeatedly, continuously blocking out certain events and certain emotions from my past. But the last, I would argue this entire year, to be honest, but especially the last couple months, last couple weeks, especially the last couple days, I feel like I've been focusing more on trying to remember what's going on, or not even just remember what has happened, but things just keep happening, and I will get jolts to the past. I'll get sent all the way back to all these memories, the goods and the bads, and it's been fucking with my head. I'm gonna have to be honest. It's been fucking with my head, because I have to come to terms now with the fact that I say this all the time. I've been running, and I thought I was just running from everything that's happening currently, and I try to suppress, downplay, avoid everything I feel in the current moment, trying to get ahead. But in the same vein, I've been blocking out more and more and more and more of my childhood, my adolescence. I don't think it really makes sense for me to honestly tell you that I can't just tell you a lot of stories, or I can't sit here and just pull memories out of my head. Something has to jog it for me. Something has to force me to remember something. If I'm having a conversation with someone and they just told me, "Oh, tell me a story from your past. Tell me a story from your childhood," I probably couldn't tell you anything unless I, for some reason, talk about it frequently, whatever that might be. The story of how I guess, figured out / came to terms with the fact that I am bisexual. I talk about that a lot. I think about it a lot. I can bring that up off the top of my head, but even today, because I guess technically yesterday, but at the same time today, because I haven't slept since. I was watching the Game Awards with my friends, and there was some segment where they were talking about TV adaptations of games, and they mentioned Twisted Metal. Anthony Mackins, or whatever his name is, I can't remember his name right at the current moment, but he was on screen, and he's in Twisted Metal, the TV show. Apparently, I forgot that even came out. And I was talking to me and my friends were just talking about Twisted Metal, and it just jogged this heavy memory. It's oh yeah, back when I was fuck, I don't even know. Like, it had to have been middle school, so somewhere between 10 and 12. I remember, like, my older brother went off to school, went to a boarding school, basically. Same high school I graduated from. So it was just like, it would just be like me and my parents in the house. And my dad would like try to like stimulate me, do things with me. And we would talk about a lot of things. And he realized that I was pretty big into games, and clearly I still am. But we would talk about games. I knew he used to play games when he was younger. I grew up playing on the same PS2 he had. He would play like 2K with me and my brother on our PS3, 2K, Madden. He played Call of Duty with us a little bit, but he did it like once or twice, and then he didn't want to fuck with it because he realized that it was not going to go well for him. But I remember like back in middle school when it was basically just like kind of me and him. There was like this weird moment in time where like there was like a couple games that were like popular for him when he was a child, and then there was like a sequel in the franchise on modern gen. At the time it was a PS3. That's what we had in the house. And I think like we went to GameStop once. That's how I know this shit's old, because I know I went to GameStop for this shit. I remember we were in GameStop for whatever reason. I was trying to get something, and he saw a copy of Twisted Metal for PS3, and like, he just like had like a complete moment to himself where he just like kind of got sent back to his childhood because he grew up on the series, and I didn't understand what the hell the game was, and he explained it to me, and I was just like, I mean, clearly I'm not paying for it. I'm broke as shit. I'm like 12. I don't have a job, and you don't pay me to do chores. Not like I expected to be paid anyway, but he explained the premise to me. I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And he decided to get it. And I remember that we would like, I'm now starting to have like more and more memories of like, I would come home from school, and then like we would play Twisted Metal together, split screen, play against each other. I think we did campaign, if that was an option. I don't remember. And I remember like we used to do that like a couple times, or he would walk in on me doing the campaign, and he would just sit there and just like, relive memories about like seeing the Sweet Tooth van and everything. And it's just like, there's like it's been so many moments lately, and I don't know what's been jogging them. Sometimes it's conversations with friends, and sometimes it's just me being stuck in my own head. But I've just been like remembering so much about myself. Like, fuck it. Fuck it. There's no other way to put it. I'm remembering so much about my own life, the good and the bad. I would say overall it's a good thing, because I mean, it gives me depth. One of the things, like, I guess one of my current insecurities is the fact that I don't have anything to talk about at times, or like, yeah, I don't have anything to talk about. I don't feel like I relate to a lot of people at times. And I'm like starting to realize, like, as my younger self becomes more clear and evident to me nowadays, that I have experienced and I have done enough to have a common baseline for a multitude of conversational topics with a lot of people in life. I just pushed it down. I always used to just push it down further. I remember that word's hard. Specifically in high school, starting like my own mental campaign of, excuse my language here, but this is not even verbatim. This is exactly what I used to tell myself. I started a campaign to essentially kill myself when I was in high school, because I don't even know what it was. Maybe it was just like teenage angst, or the fact that I just associated like all of my issues with it just being like one brewing pot of just my past. But I became like infatuated with the idea of, I'm going to move forward and past everything I've been bothered with. And as a result, I feel like I've just tried to suffocate every single thing that happened. And now it's all coming back up to the surface, for better and for the worse, Because, I mean, it's nice to have certain memories again. Like, some of the quality time that I used to spend with my dad playing GoldenEye and Twisted Metal and listening to him talk all the stories about the games he used to play on PS2, Splinter Cell, GTA, the way that my grandma, his mother, bought them for him, the way she worked to get it. You know, some of those memories remind me of the fact that, like, my perception of my father isn't as bad as I might feel at times when I get very hot-headed and, you know, I start to lose sight of everything that's going on. I have memories with my friends, you know, my mother, my father, like everyone have all these memories, even just small moments to myself. Like, it all comes back to me. It makes me feel good because I feel like myself. It is me at the end of the day. Who I was is who I am and is who I will be. What has happened to me has shifted me. It has molded me. And, you know, for the good moments, I want to cherish them because they're good. And if they're bad, then I learn from them and then I can forever work on being a better person. But, you know, with remembering good things, remember the bad things. And the bad things, I would argue, when the bad thoughts finally come back, it's a different level of having to unpack them, which I know I've been through before, but now that I have to go through it again, and to be frank, I'm in the process of re-unpacking some of the previous shit that I've had to deal with, like, you know, the reasons why I strive so much for physical touch, but at the same time, I'm afraid of it. I flinch a lot when I see people move unexpectedly towards me, or if they touch me without me being aware of their presence. There's certain areas like on my body that I don't want people to touch in any capacity whatsoever. And one thing that really does come to mind currently is just like how I view myself in general, not in general, but the way I view myself physically. I know this. The day before, so yesterday, I remember all these thoughts came back to me for a moment, and I mean, it doesn't. How do I put this? It doesn't bother me now to recognize that the thoughts did happen, but I am confused on how some of them happen. Because, you know, on one hand, one of my biggest, or another insecurity I've had for a while is just my own size, to be honest. I went from being like super skinny, like when I was younger, like metabolism on fucking steroids type shit. Like I won't say I couldn't put a pound on if I wanted to, but like, you know, I just felt like naturally fit. And then I went from being like just naturally fit to overweight. And now I'm like in this like little mix where like I actually feel like I have control on if I gain weight or if I don't, because I've put on weight and I've dished it off. Right now that I kind of feel myself, because my body image is a lot better than I'm probably at the peak of my body image, at least in the last year or so. But like as I feel myself now, you know, I got some meat on my bones, which I don't see as an issue. I don't see it as an issue for myself, to be completely honest. But you know, I still want to dish some stuff off. But I know what to do now. I have knowledge of like, you know, where is the extra, and do I want to get rid of it? If I want to get rid of it, well, what do I need to do to get rid of it, and what fits my goals? Right now, my goal would be cardio. I just need to do some more cardio, which I have been. I've been just walking and hiking more to just make it nice and simple. It gives me time to think as well when I take a slower pace. So I've been working to just make more time in my day to just hike more, just, you know, just sweat as much as possible, burn as much as I can, and then just keep going. Eventually, I'll get where I want to be. But I used to have like a really bad issue with my body. I would be like frustrated with it, and I would go through like a lot of like fits and phases and things like that. And the perception, the way I would handle it would always change. Like, I remember when I first started to put on the weight, and I didn't want to put on the weight. It wasn't even part of the plan. I don't even, to this day, I still don't fully know what changed. I guess I just started playing too many games, to be honest, and I stopped wanting to run around outside and all that random shit. But when I first started putting on the weight, I decided I just kind of just, I wasn't really I was complacent with it in the fact that I didn't do anything to really change it. I guess I was just like pretty unhappy with it, and then I was just like, well, I guess this is who I am. And then I just kind of sat there, and then over time it kind of turned into something bad. The more and more I started to get frustrated with it. I'm not going to say as far as I gained an eating disorder or an ED. I'm not going to say that. And even to this day, with my problems with appetite, I will never be the one to tell you that I have an ED. But my appetite always used to fluctuate. My anxiety would, fuck up my appetite as well. And at one point, freshman year of high school, I remember I got super pissed off. I got pissed off with the way I looked. The memories kept flowing back. And quite honestly, there was a moment in time where I couldn't really afford to eat at school. I remember I used to get 3 chocolate chip cookies and an Everclear, or not Everclear. Oh, what is it called? I don't know what it was, but it was like this fruit water, like sugary fruit water drink. I can't remember what it called. It's definitely not fucking Everclear. I'm tripping. But I would get 3 chocolate chip cookies and this basically sugary fruit juice. And that would be like I've had days where that was the only meal I ate. And some days that was the first meal of the day at 2 p.m. Then I would eat a little bit of something and just go to sleep. And I would mix that in with occasionally walking to and from bus station, sometimes walking home. I was playing tennis at the time as well. And tennis will take it fucking out of you. Let me tell you, I lost so much weight playing tennis because I used to love to run around the court and try to go for a jump spike every single chance. I lost so much weight during that period in between malnutrition and just rigorous exercise. Because I never missed practice. I never missed a game. I fucking love playing tennis. I sucked dick at it. Sucked ass at it. I have no stamina long term. So I would start off games and sets strong and then slowly wither away. But, I was able to lose the weight. And when I saw the weight I lost during that time period, albeit part of it came from bad practices, which I'm working on, have gotten way better at now, it taught me that okay, this is something that is in your control. And that statement right there really brings me into what I actually want to focus on, because this is not going to be a moment where I just rant about all my insecurities and all the shit I fucking feel. All right, if anything, I'll hit that before the year 2023 ends. Will the episode come out by the time 2023 ends? I can't tell you. I don't even know what tomorrow looks like. So don't ask me. But I want to focus on the fact that shit just changes. Shit just changes, and you'll never truly be aware of when things change in your life. At some point, you'll just look back and you'll realize this is no longer really what it is. And some things you will know when it changes. If in terms of interpersonal relationships, if some type of confrontation happens, you'll know if something changed. There's that one beacon. But it's hard to really pinpoint other situations that's happened in life that changed you for the better or for the worse, but it changed you nonetheless. If you felt like you were more compassionate when you were younger, and now that you feel like you're not compassionate, where was the moment where it all just switched or when it started to go downhill? You might not be able to even answer that moment now looking back. And that's just more of a sign that you had no clue what was happening when it was actually happening. If you lost your compassion, your sympathy, your empathy, fuck it. In my case, I've lost intellect lately. I don't feel as smart as I was 4 years ago when I graduated from high school. I do not feel as smart. I feel like I forget way more things in general and in an academic sense. I don't remember any of that shit. And I don't know when I even forgot most of it, because I felt like I had a good grasp on it when I graduated. I felt like I used to talk about those topics a year after I graduated, 2 years after I graduated. But now I can't remember shit from like the last 3 math classes I took. Outside of took discrete mathematics, and I learned how to gamble better because they would talk about the probability of playing blackjack, and that shit stuck with me. But sidetrack aside for a second, there's an important thing to recognize, which is that you'll never truly know everything. You won't. And I hope that's not like a scary statement, but I don't want that to be something that it's just like, oh, I'll never truly know, and then you always have this permanent fear of what's to come. But more so, I want it to be accepted in the light that new things are on the horizon. There's always something new for yourself, your life, the people around you, whatever it is. But to focus it down, let's just focus it on yourself. You do not know. You do not know everything. And your perception of what you know now is bound to change. All right. You just will. You have not experienced enough life. And shit, from my understanding, you never truly will. I've seen so many people change their thoughts, and I've heard people relay the same things. I know for a fact when I was 15, 16, I felt like I finally escaped like the big depressive mental health episode I was in 2-3 years of this shit. More than that, but 3-4. When I was like 15, 16, I felt like on top of the world in terms of mental intellect for a second there. I felt like I just knew exactly how to deal with shit and how to deal with shit when it pertained to me. No, I didn't know shit. I didn't know so much, and not even just in the sense of mental health. I knew jack shit about everything. And when I was 15, 16, I remember being arrogant as fuck, thinking that I figured it out. And I would even try to talk on things that I never personally experienced. And some things, you just can't. Sometimes you'll be able to observe things, form an opinion or form thoughts, and just think about it and what seems like logically and morally correct to you. But I remember, my friend would have problems with the person that they would be in a relationship with, and at the time, and I would just give them advice. And I mean, if I step back for a second and truly think about some of the things I would say, I don't think I was really wrong with it. I understood the basics of a relationship. I understood the basics of trying to play nice and be, sympathetic, empathetic towards another individual, because even then I understood that relationships is about a partnership, not just two people in general. So sometimes, there's the game of sacrifices and going back and forth and trying to find compromise and, weighing the risks and the rewards of everything. I understood the baseline. So, if it just came down to I don't know what type of fucking situation would happen in a high school relationship. I don't know. If a friend would just, come to me and be like, oh, my girl is talking to this one dude, but I'm not really comfortable about it, I would just say, well, you should just go talk to them about it. And I would just try to leave it there. I didn't want to dissect too much because it's not my fucking business, clearly. But I don't think I was too far off the money with that. But, you know, as I grow older, as I've experienced more, you know, because I have experienced a lot more in the 4 or 5 years since I've been out of high school. I won't say that specific approach could have been changed, but when I say I understand so much more about how to deal with, you know, family and friends and like relationships and just like the idea of what personal interests are and should you chase them or not, I understand it a lot more. There's a whole different wisdom to experiencing more and living more and talking to other people and understanding what they've gone through. And even though I feel like I have a decent grasp on it all now, at the same time, I'm completely open to the idea that I will probably change. I do expect to change. And that's why I always try to mold myself to point in the right direction to grow, as opposed to trying to stand on every single thing that I believe in the current moment. Because there will be a moment where all of my beliefs are extremely challenged, and then I will inevitably become a slightly different person, Because let's just be generous here, or let's just make this statement here. All right. Let's just put you in a moment. You're 20 years old. Or you can use whatever age you are right now. Can you imagine being the same person you are today as you are when you are 65? If you're 20, you're going to be the same person for 45 years. You spent the last 20 years of your life changing. And then for some reason you think all of a sudden now you are just like the pinnacle of what you can be. And this is what you forever will be. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, so much will happen in your life and you will forever keep changing. And I have many examples of that, whether it just be from myself from before I turned 20 up until now, to just like watching my parents and, you know, my parents' recount of shit. Yeah, even my parents' recount of who my grandparents were when I was born versus who they are now as I can see them, or at least my grandfathers. I've lost both my grandmothers already. But, you know, my grandfather on my dad's side, he's 94. He is 94 years old. And the way that I, you know, listen to stories that my dad tells me, my grandfather was a different man when he was 80, back when I was 6. And he was a different man when he was 50, 60, 70, 80. He continuously changed, even after all those years. And quite honestly, I mean, he's been retired for a while now too. He has children that are, you know, in their 50s at this point, 50s and 60s. He's taken well care of. He doesn't have to venture into the world, meet new people, find new experiences. He can sit there in his house and do whatever he pleases. But apparently he still is just changing. He's learning more and more. And with whatever he learns, with whatever he experiences, he'll forever shift. Because there's so many things in life that will happen that will just change someone. And sometimes you can't prepare for it. Sometimes you can't prepare for it. Sometimes you would have never expected it to happen so soon, if ever, anything like that. Because like, if I keep talking about my grandfather, 94, I know one of the moments where I've been able to finally to see change in him, personally, was because I didn't really talk to my grandfather too much. He would just kind of sit in his room and I would just kind of chill in like the room below him whenever we went to go visit him. But you know, I still knew him pretty well. We would still spend moments together. Oh my God, the memory just came back out of nowhere. I remember every single time we would come over, me and my brother would come over to my grandparents' house to spend like some type of holiday. They would always have like the freezer stocked up. And then if we ever ran out of popsicles or there wasn't for any reason, my grandpa would just leave out the house at like 5 a.m., come back with popsicles. And then I remember once he came back with them and he saw that I was still awake and he just offered me a popsicle. And we just kind of sat there and talked a little bit in the kitchen while just eating a popsicle at like 6 in the morning. I have not remembered that ever. Holy fuck. But yeah, like, you know, I have an understanding of who my grandfather is. And back when my grandmother passed, his wife of 50 years at the time, it's been what, 4 years since my grandmother passed. And in the last 4 years, I've seen my grandfather's demeanor change, which is understandable. He just lost his partner of half his life. He was 89, 90 at the time, and he lost someone close to him, someone that, I mean, with so much time spent together, especially at their old age, I can't say that he never expected it to happen, but nonetheless, I could not imagine the pain that he felt spending that amount of time, so much time with someone that he loved, and, you know, now they're no longer here at that age too. And I see in his body language and his word choice and the things he says, like, you know, he has changed as a result from the fact that his house is quieter now because he lost the woman that he loved. And, you know, it's just like, fuck, like he's dealing with a lot of shit. He's learning something that he would have never expected to truly learn. And he's at an age where people feel like they would have had every single thing figured out. And he's still dealing with it all. Like, especially recently, because he's been not in the best health physically for like the last year or 2 years. At least to my knowledge, because I know my family will keep trying to hide shit from me. But I've heard him talk about like mortality more and more. I've never heard him ever talk about mortality up until like the last couple years when, you know, shit for him started to go more and more south. And like, yeah, I mean, it's scary shit. It's scary shit because, you know, I mean, clearly I've lost grandparents before, so it's not like it's gonna be my first time, but nonetheless, it's gonna be something. It's gonna be something to deal with, and you know, as it all unfolds, just hypothetically in my head, up until you know, life does its shit. I'm going to consistently change myself as I make that transition from trying to prepare for the worst to seeing the worst happen. And when it happens, I probably won't recognize all the changes that will happen to me. But when I look back in a year, 2 years, 3 years, I'll be able to see, oh yeah, this is probably what I took from this, and this is who I am, and this is who I was. And you know, once you figure that out, that's really it. But it just you just never truly understand things as much as you want to. You just never do, because as much as even just one scenario, one event could remind you of another, life is one complex bastard. Let me tell you, life is one complex fucking bastard, and I don't really see it changing from that either. But you know, even if something is similar, there'll still be different things that you can take from it. Or sure, it's similar, but maybe you're just overgeneralizing it. I know when it comes to relationships and things like that. Because I think that's, in recent times, that's where I probably have made my most personal growth, is just my relationships. And that's more so focusing on friends and, actual romantic interests of almost said varying varieties of varying sorts, varying sorts. I've learned a lot lately with a lot of that shit. From, I remember when quarantine started, COVID-19 quarantine. So what is that? 2020, 2021. I was just looking back on that shit yesterday, actually, with some friends. The friends I actually have, I remember when quarantine happened, I was trying to buy friends, or I was basically buying my friends' interests because I was afraid of being alone. And I just figured, if I just throw enough at people, then, they'll just stay, or they'll think that I'm cool, or, if all comes to worse, I can just guilt trip them into staying around me because, but I gave you this, and that, and that, and that, and that was my fucking hope. And it all came from desperation. And, I don't really, I hate the fucking numbers. So I got this drink on deck for me to say this shit, because I'm already thinking of it. But, by the time quarantine ended or things like that, so like 2020 to 2021, let's just say that period of time, I guess technically 2-year span, I spent, drinks on deck, I spent $3,000 on friends. And that's just Steam alone. Because I would buy third-party keys, and I would do this, and that. I'm sure I bought physical products to be shipped out to people, and I would buy things. I would send people just straight money if they needed it for food, or they wanted to get a game that wasn't on Steam, so that would be the gift. But I know I spent at least $3,000, 3 bands, on just like trying to buy friends' interests in a variety of ways. Probably like 3.5, 4K, probably in the upper range there. And I don't even know where the money came from, because I ain't have it like that back then. I didn't have no money. When quarantine happened, I ain't have no job. I ain't have no jobs, and I ain't just have money sitting around. I stopped getting an allowance once, I wasn't at school trying to fucking fend for myself. So I didn't have no bread. So I would spend all the money I would randomly get just trying to give it out to friends. I flipped $150 into 2.6K from Dogecoin back when that was a thing. Split it 50-50 with one of my friends, basically. And then, so that $1,300 I had probably took 1K of it and blew it on friends. I had a trunk party around that time. And if you don't know what a trunk party is, it's essentially like a going away to college party that family would throw. They just gave me all cash. It was quarantine. They didn't want to send actual gifts because everyone was paranoid. So I came up like $1,500, $2,000 from the trunk party. I blew all that money on trying to buy my friends because I was just so desperate while being stuck in my house to have people around me. And at the time, I saw it as a correct way to ensure that people never left. And if you can't tell how this goes, they all left. Not all of them, but circle got way smaller. I stopped talking to a lot of the people that, I did stick my neck out for them because with all the people at the time, I would have the deeper and darker conversations. I would expose myself. They would expose themselves, and we would try to heal, and we would try to talk about that shit. And I stuck my neck out for some of those motherfuckers, but at the same time, I stuck my wallet out for them too. And they ain't stay. And I don't really care that they ain't stay. To be honest, bad company is worse than no company. So, I don't want to say I'm happy that they're gone because I'm not on bad terms with them. We just fell out of communication, and that's just, it is what it is. But thinking about it, before I even get into that, I still got some of them. Like some of my closest friends still are friends that I was still sending gifts to, and I still buy them gifts and things like that. Nope, not a lot has changed, but it's more like now I gift people things because I want them to have it. I think they're deserving of it, or at the very least, I'm thanking them for the emotions and the time they spent with me. You know, it's things I give now is more from a place of gratitude as opposed to please don't fucking leave me because I'm so desperate to have someone around me. Because I don't know, at times I am pretty desperate to have people around me still, but like I said, I'd rather have no company than bad company. And I don't know. Sometimes I'd really rather just bite my tongue and figure out any other way to deal with some of the shit than try to just surround myself by people who just stick around because they'd feel bad if they left me because, you know, I gave them X, Y, and Z. And at the time, you know, 17, 18 years old, you know, buying friendship seemed like I don't want to say regular thing, but it just seemed like an avenue that you could just wander down and there wouldn't be too much repercussions. Because, you know, who doesn't want people around them to spend time with them, to, you know, share stories and make you laugh and et cetera, make memories, all that shit. Who doesn't want that shit? So I was like, fuck it. Money's a way to fast track it, guarantee it. No, really wasn't. I learned because, I mean, once they left, you know, I saw how it was. I went through the moments of bitterness where, you know, I would stare at certain friends I'm not gonna name because why the fuck would I? But, you know, I got a list of friends in mind where I sit there and I think, or at the time I realized that, you know, they ain't fucking with me no more, or we just kind of fell out of communication. I got bitter for a while. I was thinking in my head, like, how can you turn your back on me after everything I did for you, after all the shit I spent for you, all the time I given to you, all the time I made for you? I used to be angry and bitter about this shit. And then over time, I kind of just like, it kind of mellowed out. And like, you know, when I think about, you know, friends and all that shit, one, I'm going to say it again, no company's better than bad company. 1, 2, nobody owes you shit. That's my current mindset. If I change it, I'll let you know. But, you know, nobody owes you shit. All right. This is one principle, and I always try to make sure I say this to people, especially if there's someone new in my life that I'm gifting something to. I always try to make sure it's just like, I want you to be aware. This is a gift. All right. The way I define gift, and I'm not Googling it, but I'm sure Google agrees with me here. But a gift is basically something you give to someone. And the idea of it being a gift in my head is I'm not looking for anything in return. And I tell everyone that if I give them a gift, I tell them, hey, I want to give you this. I want you to know I'm not expecting a damn thing in return because I gave you the gift. I want you to be the exact same person as if I never gave it to you. Because I don't want people to stick around just because I gave them something. No, if you don't want to be around me, then please, respectfully, and forgive my cursing, fuck off. I don't want you here. If you don't want to be here honestly because of who I am, if you're just here because I gave you this or I did this for you, no. Whatever I'm giving you, whatever I did for you, I did it because I chose to. All right, that is my decision. My decision was to spend money on this, to make changes in my plans for this, to be here for you. That's my decision. All right. We did not make any agreements. All right, because if we make an agreement, then I have the right to be bitter. If I buy you a game with the expectation that you'll pay me back in the future, and then you don't, hell yeah, I should be better. And I fucking will be. I know a motherfucker, actually. I bought him COD when the shit came out in like 2022, 2021. It was like 65 fucking bucks, and I bought it for him on the basis that he'd pay me back on his next paycheck. And then some actual really serious shit happened. Disgusting person. And we cut ties. I cut ties before I even got the bread back. But like, I'm so bitter about this shit. Shit, I'll take the $70 back into my bank account. You gotta be stupid if you think I don't want that shit back. But, I want the money back because we already agreed when it was purchased that he would owe me the money. It was never a gift. It was a loan at that point. It was just me. I just offered, okay, I got the money in my account. I can just buy it for you right now. Give me my money back later. And then, after that, we'll be all cool. We'll be all good. But, there's a big difference between making an exchange and giving gifts. And I always just try, I have this more level-headed approach to who I want in my life and how I want them in my life and what I want to do for them and expectations in return, expectations and guidelines, things like that I didn't have 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm way different for it because I know for a fact when I was younger, I was just excited if anyone wanted to talk to me. Spent way too much time alone, honestly. And as a result of being alone so much, I was ecstatic to have people around, and then I became obsessed with trying to make sure that they, weren't talking shit behind my back and that they weren't gonna leave me. And nowadays, no, something happened. The switch flipped, and now I just don't. I can't say that I care. It hurts to not talk to friends and to, miss people. Like in the last year or so, I've had some friends that I've still have fallen out with, or we just, grew apart. And it does hurt to think about the fact that I used to spend so much time with someone, gave someone so much effort and energy, and it's gone. And I used to just think like, oh, it was all a waste of time and I just should have never talked to them. But no, it's just like, I don't have that mentality anymore because I realize that I feel that way because of what has already happened, basically. I miss someone because we used to have so many great moments together. But the only thing that truly matters is the fact that the moment happened in the first place. And that's like kind of what helps me find the closure when people leave. I'm just happy that it happened. It sucks that we don't talk anymore. It sucks that you feel so distant, and I worry if I'll ever hear from you again. And I sit here and I wonder sometimes if you ever think about how I'm doing, because occasionally I think about how you're doing. But at the end of the day, I can look back on it and smile because I'll have memories of things that we used to do, and they'll, it forever molded me. Like from my old high school friend that I don't talk to too much. He just called me a week ago, actually. So I got to play Fortnite with him sometime soon. But, I haven't talked to him seriously in like a year or two. And it hurts. That's my boy. That's my man. So, all right. I met his family. He met mine. And that's just like, that's just like family type shit. Like, we used to just be close like that. And he used to be my Fortnite duo. We used to play Fortnite so much. And I look back on it, I'm like, oh, it's just beautiful memories. I could look back on my phone and find videos and pictures and all that shit. And it's just like, man, like I miss those days. They were good fucking days. Like, I miss those memories. Like I wish I could go back and just relive some of that shit. But at the same time, I don't feel bitter too much that we just kind of grew apart. It's just, it is what it is. And luckily, that's a situation where I can rekindle it if I truly wanted to. Or, I could do my best to try. But, sometimes it's just better to be happy that things happen as opposed to being sad that there's no more to come from that one person or in general. Because sometimes it's not in your control, And other times, if it's in your control, I mean, hey, what are you doing? Yeah, shoot your shot. You know, if you want to go talk to an old friend, just shoot the message and just be like, hey, what you been on? Let's see what's going on, and then you can get your closure on if they want to, rekindle that or not. Speaking of which, I do have a friend I actually want to reach out to because I miss her. I miss her. She's a fucking beauty. She's a fucking beauty. I fucking love everything she's ever done for me. So I want to check in on her again because it's been a while. But sometimes it is in your control, and if it is, it might be worth it to just go check up on old friends, see what they're up to, see if they, just have a nice conversation, just catch up a little bit, and then maybe you guys finally go your separate ways. I'd recommend it. Have a nice final talk, because sometimes, things will just be out of your control, and that's just what it is. I know some people who I used to consider friends, and then we just had like one big falling out, or, we just fell out because we just stopped talking to each other, and now I don't even have a way to talk to them anymore, so I just have to leave it there. It's just like they deleted socials, but it's just like, we just lost it. Like, I lost your Steam, I lost your number, I ain't got you on Discord no more. I don't know any of your other socials, or I don't be on it. Like, it's just, it's just over. Like, I can't talk to them, or, on some real shit real fast. Cause it's time appropriate. Cause this shit weighing on my heart heavy too. But sometimes, you'll never be able to respark those old relationships because life will do things that life does. And sometimes life will just take people from you. Shit fucking changes, man. Shit fucking changes. Like, yeah, I guess I can do this like quick little story. But so right now when I'm recording it, it's 3 a.m. on the 8th of December, 2023. So that means 9 days ago, it was the last day of November. So what? November 30th? Yeah, November 30th. For reference, in case you somehow don't know or you just don't know, I used to stream on Twitch. I spent the entirety of 2023 streaming on Twitch, basically. I started in late 2022, but 2023 is like where I used to do it the most. But on the last day in November this year, I shut the doors on all my Twitch shit because I've been going through a lot of personal issues, and at this point I need to focus on things I want to do moving forward in the future for, the sake of employment and enjoyment. I want to be here for my friends. I want to be here for my family. And I have too much shit going on in my life personally where I can spend that amount of time doing something I don't want to take seriously because I didn't. Too much mania and depression and all that shit, which I'll get into at another point, probably soon. But I bring this up in reference to the idea of checking in with old friends and things like that because I made some friends from the streaming shit. Some friends I still talk to this day, and I've been talking to for a while throughout the streaming shit. I went on a trip with one of them. On the other, I was just in call playing Fortnite and shit with another one of them earlier. There's some friends from streaming that I like still keep in like close contact with, and even if I don't keep like extremely in close contact with everyone I met from streaming and all that, I would always talk to people about like, oh, what's going on in your life? I was just like a chat bot in a sense, and I would learn so much about people, and I would get honestly invested into them, and some of us would have conversations outside of just Twitch. And one of my homies, yeah, I can end out on this, a nice memorial to my boy here. One of the homies that I met from streaming, met him back in like, it was either March. I think I met him back in March. I met him and one of his homies. His homie passed shortly after I started streaming, or after we met. And I don't think you can find it anymore on my Twitch, but I ran a tournament in this dude's friend's honor because he was my friend too at that point. Long live Mado. Love you, dog. But I ran a tournament in his honor, and I kept in close contact with his other friend, my boy Jack. We would We would talk a lot. He had dreams of being a competitive CS player. Competitive CS at the time. At this point, it would have been a CS2 player. But when we talked about it, it was CS:GO. And we would sit there and we would talk about it a lot. And I would give him tips, and I would give him tips and places to look. I would tell him, if you needed a team, come find me, because I'll make a team out of the fucking blue. I got some friends who would be willing to like start some shit up with me, and we could fucking run it up together, man. And we would talk and dream and fantasize about that shit, and we would just, kick it. But to keep it short, I did my final farewell stream on the last day of November this year, and my homie came into Twitch chat, and he sends some messages saying that the CS stream is over, and I'm trying to figure out, like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean that the CS stream is over? Talk to me. And he says some shit, and basically, to keep this short so I don't start rambling, and also so I don't start losing it mentally talking about the shit, but essentially his heart started to fail. And apparently I caught him / he caught me right before he was gonna go to sleep. And unfortunately, the sleep was permanent this time. So, we had some conversations on stream. We talked a little bit in DMs, or he sent me a final message in DMs, and then, that's just, haven't heard from bro since. So it's confirmed at this point. Like, it is confirmed. Like, my boy's gone. Long live Jack, man. Long live Jack. 'Cause that's, man. Yes, a lot of conversations, a lot of deep moments. That's my boy. I'll never have the opportunity to talk to him again about that type of shit. And I feel it now, and I know even later in life I'll look back on it and I'll wish that I'd have the opportunity to just talk to him about what's going on, and tease him about the current state of CS pro scene, and wondering where he is on, if he wants to still be a player, or if he's going to get into coaching and the coaching side of things and things like that. I've already entered the point where I will forever miss even the opportunity of that shit. So I guess I bring all that up to say that, if you think of an old friend or something like that, and you have the means to communicate with them, just talk to them, send something out, at the very least just let them know. Because everyone wants to feel wanted and remembered anyway. Send them a message and just be like, hey, was thinking about you lately. Just want to see if you want to do something, to sit around, talk a little bit. Let's play a game. Or even if you're not interested in that type of thing, because I believe in, sending the love, sharing the love. Send them a message and just let them know that you were thinking of them and you're thankful for, everything that they provided you during the time where you two were closer together. So I really think that's important. I really do believe that that's important. But I felt like a sidetrack, but I don't really think it was. I pray it wasn't. Not too much, because at the end of the day, the main focus I really want to push here is just like, things just will change in life, man. Things really will just change, for better or for worse. If you haven't already somehow, you will look back in life one day and realize that you aren't the same person that you were a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it is. No matter how strongly you feel about anything in your life right now, no matter how strong you want to stay the same, if you do, events that occur in your life and just a natural progression of things will inevitably change you into a different person. I don't want that to be a fearful thing either. Accept the flow. Don't say too much in life as if it's permanent, because not a lot of things in life are permanent, especially when it comes to ideals. All right, you can always change whatever you want to do. You can always change who you associate with, who you talk to. Everything is up for debate in a lot of senses. And I hope you feel the freedom and understand that you're not chained down by, what's going on or what happened in your past. I hope you feel the freedom to understand that you can be whatever you want to be. You are never stuck to be, who you quote unquote were or who you quote unquote used to be. But, if you ever sit there and you wonder about what's going to happen to yourself, just try to understand where you might want to go. Take the time, think about the future a little bit more. If you want to be more compassionate, more intelligent, more focused on certain parts of life, whether it just be family or actual attention span, start the process today and try to figure out what can you do to propel yourself in that type of direction. But as everyone will ever tell you, especially when it comes to personal growth, only time will tell.